Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello my friends, and welcome to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. I'm Andrew with you here as always, wishing you a happy holidays and hoping that whatever you celebrate or choose not to is going in the way that you want to. Hopefully you have some time to enjoy it with friends, family, and or loved ones. And you know what? Because we're gamers, hopefully you're getting some games in, even if it's some of those silly party games. Lord knows I enjoy those as well. So this week we're looking at bubble characters in Star Wars Destiny, which I define as those characters that have been good in the past or even today are just really solid, really good on paper characters, but for whatever reason haven't found their way into the current meta. So thanks for joining me again today as we theory craft on how we can make some of our old favorites good again.
Traitor!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Bubble Character Week here on Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. Today we're talking about FN2199, his second version, affectionately known as Traitor, although he wasn't a traitor, but either way, we're looking at him from Faltering Allegiances. Now, I was very excited about him. I thought he looked really cool. I actually played him in the Faltering Allegiances release weekend tourney. I played him with Enfys Nest. And he didn't work out for me. I didn't do very well in that tournament. And FN really just didn't land. I think a large part of that is, at 1013 and 9 health, I mean, he has good sides and he has an amazing, really cool ability that should not be ignored at all. But he should probably either have 10 health or be less points. I think that if he hadn't been FN2199 and people hadn't had, FN PTSD, I think he would have been better. I think he either would have been 1013 with 10 or probably 912 with the 9 he is now. And maybe we'll see a balance in the future. I doubt it. I think people just have too much FN PTSD. But that is a large part, I think, why he hasn't landed. But I do think there's a lot of potential there, and maybe we just need to see how their sets flush out in the future. So what we've done for a lot of these other episodes, we've sat down, we've looked at the past decks. I mean, FN doesn't really have any past decks because he's just new, but there are some pretty obvious pairings out there. I mean, the first I already mentioned is Enfys Nest. The theory behind this deck is actually, it's pretty solid. Aside from the fact that Enfys can bring an additional card, which we'll talk about in a second, you can do the typical Enfys things where you make a bunch of money and then you use that money to put cool stuff on FN. Now, there's a couple problems functionally and executionally how this works. Is that one of the ones you want to play is Vibrosword and or Patar, but those don't work really well on FN, right? Because the Patar you want it to be on a yellow character. The Vibrosword you get the discount for playing it on the yellow character, so most of the time it ends up on FN. Or excuse me, it ends up on Enfys. And it just adds stuff that you have to do, and it tends to not work out. And honestly, most of the time I was playing, at least in those early tournaments, they actually went for Enfys first and left FN, which indicates to me that most opponents don't actually see FN as being the primary threat, right? So, I think that says a lot about FN himself. The other pair that I've seen him out there with occasionally is I did skip on Enfys Nest. One of the cool things with Enfys is bringing Chewie's Blaster. Chewie's Blaster is pretty damn good on FN2199, right? So that is a big advantage of bringing Enfys Nest that we can't ignore. The next partner I have seen him played with is IG88, and there's a lot of problems with this deck as well. Now, I haven't played this one personally. I've paper jotted it a couple times, and I just never played it because I couldn't get past the fact that it has the Jango bounty problem. And what I mean by that is that you have to play bounties to get the advantage out of IG-88. And you have to play weapons to get the advantage out of FN. And at some point your deck's like 2/3 full and you're just starting. Right, and that's what I mean. It's kind of the Jango problem. With Jango, you're trying to play equipment and you're playing bounties, and all of a sudden you're, just by your auto-include stuff that you need, you're at 20 cards, and doesn't give you a lot of room for tech. And this deck kind of struggles with that as well. And, there's a lot of arguments to be made that maybe FN's the one you go for there first because of the bounties. I don't know. But either way, it's not like we're seeing that deck making huge waves. So, as far as the theory crafting on how to make FN better, aside from just wishing and hoping that either gets a balance, and to be honest, even if he gets a balance, I don't know where he'd go right now, at least off the top of my head. But theory crafting some other decks with FN, I have been wondering about putting him with Maul. And this is Big Maul, of course. Well, I guess old Maul rotated out. But yeah, so with Skilled Duelist Maul, Maul's 20 points and FN's 10. It works, right? And I don't think it's that different than bringing a lot of other things with Maul, like the Mud Trooper right now. The one difference is that I think with Maul right now, I think any success lies probably with Order 6/6, which is primarily why you're not seeing me playing a lot of Maul right now. So, I find it hard to believe that with Maul it wouldn't be better to run the Mud Trooper in Order 6/6, so that's probably also what's keeping FN out. But focusing in on how we could play FN, I do think that there's probably a deck there with Maul, and you're just, because then you're getting the extra dice. FN effectively brings you another elite character, right? As long as you can get the dice out there. And one of the other problems with FN is the modifier sides, right? Now, it can't help you when you roll in the modifier via the power action, but if you do end up with modifier side on the table, Maul's going to be able to pair with that modifier side, right? So I'm just thinking like a Dooku Saber or something like that. And Dooku Saber is probably not the best example because you want that to go on the Sith for the damage. But you do have a lot of particularly cool options there. Plus, he's a trooper, so he, does get you that measure for measure if you need it. Helps you get that 0 removal up, which you definitely want from Maul. So I think that's one deck to explore if that's your thing, and it's probably a lot of fun to play because there's a lot of dice rolling going on there, right? Just naturally from your team. However, when I really think about how to make FN better, right, or what deck would FN excel, right? Not necessarily how do I make FN better, but what deck would FN excel in? I still am in the camp that you probably play him single die and try to go some sort of 3-wide. The problem with that is in the current card pool, you don't really have a great option for yellow there. The best one I can come up with really is the Marauder, actually, the Enfys Nest Marauder, which granted could then get you the Chewie's thing if you want it. But the Marauder's kind of not great with the pay sides, but that is an option. The other one that I look at, now this is not yellow, but the other partner for him that I look at in the 3-wide is the Praetorian Guard. Praetorian Guard's actually pretty good and kind of gets you additional removal, kind of. It's not really reliable, but it can work. So I do think that that's a potential thing to look at from the 3-wide perspective. Now, another one that I've been toying around with on paper but haven't been able to come up with anything, and again, that's hopefully you guys can help me here, is I actually don't hate FN with the Jawa Junk Dealer. And the reason is there are a lot of, if you look at the best criteria for a weapon on FN is no modifiers, no pay sides, right? One of the best ones to do that is the Grievance Striker, the Grievous Gun. It's a 1, 2 indirect, 2 indirect. Sure, 2 indirect's not great, but when you're throwing it out, making sure you can resolve it, that doesn't seem too bad. Plus, one of the best upgrades on FN is the Sonic Detonators. Also great. So I don't hate the idea of Jawa Junk Dealer with FN. The problem is together those two are 15, right? You're 10 plus your 5. So then that 15 makes it really difficult to pack 2 8s and go like a 4-wide. you're instead trying to play like a 15, and then, what do? There's no great 15 option for yellow. I don't think you want to, in that case, I don't think you want to run FN Elite. You want some other threat on the table. I mean, Kylo's about the only other thing I can think of, right? So it'd be like FN, Kylo best friend forever, and Jalla Junk Dealer. I don't know if that sounds all that great to me. But it's kind of more down the path of where my head is going for really the FN framework. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't have any great ideas what to do with FN, other than just to try and focus on getting him wide. But keep in mind, like, there are plenty of ways to mathematically get him wide. But more what I'm saying is that your off character can't just be like a ramp character. Like, you don't want to run like a Jabba, because then you're going to have to run some weird support package, and it's just going to be, kind of the Jango IG88 problem, as I talked about all over again, and that when you run into your own strategies, you just run out of space. So I think you somehow need to come up with need to have some sort of weapons upgrade based package that has multiple colors and can bring multiple threats to the table. So I don't hate. I mean, actually, now that it's kind of growing on me, right? Like the Kylo best friend forever thing's not a horrible idea. I wonder if Pong Krell, maybe. I mean, it gets you Force Affinity, which is really just a draw. I don't know. That's an interesting idea. So maybe that's some place to look, is the FN Jawa 15 point. I mean, it could be, I don't know. I'm just on blue because of the melee weapons, but it could be yellow if you can figure out somehow to get that yellow character there. I don't think your Haction Brood droid's going to cut it. But anyway, so that's just my theory crafting. Has anyone out there had success with FN outside of, real, legit, consistent success with FN? I mean, I'm sure that everyone out there, at some point has, or I'm sure someone out there at some point has, rolled multiple 3s on the Chewie's blaster and annihilated their opponent. But I'm talking about, real, consistent, threat of FN plus somebody else. I'd be very interested to hear it. So anyway, those are my thoughts for FN today. I do think that the answer lies somewhere in a 3 wide. Maybe it's in the future, or maybe there's some hidden gem out there right now. Either way, thanks for joining me today, guys, and if nothing else, go Commando.